Hi, Kayla.
It's just us, huh?
Well,
For
I
now.
had thought that I might not be able to make it because I was still trying to make sure the house was packed up by 9 o'clock this morning. But I put in, I don't know, let's see, 3 plus 2 plus 3, 8 or 9 hours yesterday and overnight.
Oh,
So, other than a small number of knickknacks that just need to be loosely moved,
yeah.
I think I'm out of there. Certainly by the end of today. The place should be
Nice.
ready for cleaning and painting and etc.
Yeah.
So the guy is going to try and move in by Wednesday.
Wow. Okay. You're gonna give him the keys today?
Nope, nope. We have to go over the rental agreement. We've actually reviewed it 4 times already, so it's not like it's a surprise. So we just have to, make sure all the final details are there. And he's going to sign it today, and he's going to then transfer money on Wednesday. He's closing on his house either Monday or Tuesday. So that was why he had a sense of urgency.
I see.
And I tried to accommodate because I know
Yeah.
sometimes I need a kick in the butt.
Well, you know, um, yeah, that's great.
Uh, and in the meantime, yeah, I got to deal with planning for getting the bottom unit over here emptied out because there seems to be a renter that wants to take the bottom floor of this place as well.
Oh, wow.
Now I
Nice.
gotta
Okay.
empty that out.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you what, I
Great.
did a crazy thing. I ordered a 40-foot cargo container storage unit because the 5 acre place is large enough that we can sort of put it off to the side. And I mean, it's not
Yes,
going to be great,
absolutely.
but it'll
Yeah.
be mostly hidden in the trees. And I
Yeah.
want to use that as a storage unit rather than paying $150 a month, which I do pay today, or just a 10 by 10 storage unit.
Right, right.
So I'll have a 10 by 40 or 9 by 40 approximately. And I
Yeah.
won't be paying month to month, although the thing is costing me about 2,500 bucks
Wow.
delivered.
Okay.
Yeah.
Delivered. And so you're saying you're not going to pay monthly?
No, I actually bought the unit. It's going to go on
Oh,
the deck
oh,
house
okay.
property. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so it's going to be delivered on December 5th.
Wow. Nice.
And then I get to empty out my storage unit. That'll take several trips. I got probably two or 300 boxes in there.
Yeah.
That'll
Wow.
be several weekends worth of work or evenings.
Yeah. Oh man.
But on the good news side,
Yeah.
50 miles away, somebody pointed out, they sent me an ad for this seafood place about 50 miles north of me that has really great pictures of their lobster rolls.
Oh, nice.
So once I get everything done, I might celebrate by just going up there and having a lobster
Yeah.
roll.
That's great.
Yeah.
Good.
So anyway, it
Okay.
looks like it's like within 2 or 3 days, it'll be too late for you to take on the duck property, Kayla. You still have
Yeah,
a
totally.
little bit of a sliver of a chance here.
No. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Well, how are you faring?
Good, good. I am currently looking for a picture of my dad by himself, which is kind of hard actually. It's hard to get a picture of my dad by himself. Um because he just never was that. So I could put it on a poster board because unfortunately, um the Walmart canceled my order. So now I'm, you know, kind of back to square one.
Wait. Canceled your order for the big cutout?
No, for the poster board. So the
Oh,
cutout's going to be someplace else, but
okay.
this poster board is, going to be next to the casket. The cutout's not going to be next to the
Uh,
casket for
hmm
obvious reasons, but
hmm
excuse me, but the poster board will be. So,
You know, did you explore having the cutout be printed not just on like heavy cardboard, but there are places that can print or laser, lasography, whatever it's called, onto metal. Do you know about that?
no.
So if you wanted
Wow.
something a little bit more sturdy, a little bit more permanent, obviously that's going to be more expensive.
Yeah.
Oh, look who's
Nah.
here. Mr.
What?
Park is here.
Oh, okay. Hi, Jack.
It happens.
Jack.
Morning.
I had actually thought I wouldn't be here today, but like I said in the post, oh, which you didn't see, Jack. There's a chance as each minute ticks by, the probability that I get called away rises by about 1%. So I may get
All the
called
way.
away.
What does that mean?
I have to empty out the duck house property because a renter is going to move in on Wednesday. So he's going to come around 10 o'clock and we're going to discuss, the state of the house. And all my stuff is now boxed up. I think I got 25 cardboard boxes, 22 plastic, storage bins, and a few odds and ends and stuff like that. So that's what I've been doing for about the last day and a half or 2 days, Jack.
Yeah, I knew that.
That's why I might get called away.
Well, that's okay.
Okay.
I
Well,
have to leave at 9 anyhow, so it's all the same.
cool. Well, I do remember that towards the tail end of yesterday's conversation, Kayla had brought up a topic which I also had intended to bring up yesterday. Kayla, you remember what that is, right?
Yes, yeah, it is. And again, I don't have the verbiage correct, but how like nursing isn't being considered a profession anymore, according to the Office of Education.
I saw that.
Because
Yeah,
yeah,
I
and
saw that too.
so I pointed out that all of those are women dominated fields and they are also mandated reporters.
Mandated what?
Reporters.
I didn't get that last word.
Reporters, mandated reporters.
What does that mean?
Um, Mandated reporters, they check on they like protect the children. So if, for instance, you see a child being, you think they're being
Oh, okay,
abused and stuff like that, then
okay.
you have a legal obligation, oh, not to mention a moral obligation
Yep,
to
yep.
get
That's true.
to
As
what? Go ahead. Sorry.
teachers are required as well, and they're called a profession. So why isn't nursing?
There's a very clear reason which Kayla will now explain, Jack.
Huh? Is there a clear reason?
There is a very clear reason.
Yeah.
I think with this administration, the misogyny reeks very strongly, and almost as strongly as their cruelty. So they don't want women to be educated. They don't want women to work. They don't want women to have responsibility. They eventually want to probably take away women's right to vote. And all of these rights have only been around since what, the 60s and 70s. And ever since then, they have been working very hard to make those rights disappear. So they don't want to provide the designation of profession. And in that designation, that means that all the federal funding for those programs and education programs and degree programs can dry up. Federal funds no longer need to be spent on those professions. That's what I
Yeah.
read into that announcement.
Yeah.
So the cruelty is strong. The misogyny is strong with this one.
Yep.
So yeah, I read those. I don't think it was even between the lines. I saw some articles which very clearly spelled that out, but I saw it with the announcement itself.
Yeah.
So here's the question though. The attempt to distract us from the Epstein files, or
Yep.
Epstein, depending on what you want to call him, involved a number of, stupendously outrageous acts and police actions, etc. But the Epstein files may have also distracted us from other important legislative changes which were being done as we were distracted by the Epstein files. Well, I
Yeah.
wouldn't say distracted. It's a very important issue.
Yeah.
But so many issues are taking, headline attention that it's almost impossible to track what's going on, especially with the state of journalism in as poor state as it is. Oh, which reminds me of Mary Bruce. You guys know Mary Bruce?
No.
Maybe not.
No. Yeah.
She was the one who, in the White House, I believe, with Trump and the Arab sheikh who ordered the murder of Khashoggi, the Al Jazeera journalist, provably so by our intelligence organizations and known for probably what, decade or so. He's now entertaining this guy as a respected international emissary of some kind.
Oh yeah.
So Mary Bruce spoke and said, "Do you think it's appropriate, President Trump, or something like that, to be hosting this person who, murdered a member of the journalism profession and is still not, faced justice?" And she even asked the guy himself, I forget what his name is, um, some direct
And
question like, "Did you murder this guy?" or, whatever. Okay. And this is where Trump then says something like, "Quiet piggy" or "Shut up piggy" or something like that. You guys saw that reference?
oh yes.
But I posted that all the men who were silent in that room at that moment have no balls. She's the only one with courage in that room.
Yep.
And there were many men in that room. And none of them stood up, as far as I could tell, to defend her or to say, "Hey, come on, no, that's a fair journalistic question." Nobody spoke up, not according to the excerpts that I saw.
Why is it
Because
hard for people to speak up? Sorry.
they have no balls. They're non-testicular. Sorry, I shouldn't
Just
use that.
in general. I mean, I don't know. I'm always gonna be asking this question. Why is it difficult for other people to stick up for other people? Just period. Why is
I
it so
think very
hard?
few people understand principles these days. What the bleep do people live for? I think people live for paychecks. They don't live for principle anymore. And if their paycheck is threatened, no, they're not going to speak up and do the right thing or say the right thing. Look at how many Republicans are doing that.
Republicans.
And that's spelled with three Ks, by the way.
Yeah.
Anyway, I want to go on record as saying Mary Bruce is someone I respect. I don't know anything about her other than that one little event and episode, but I will try and find out more about her because she's one of the few who is courageous enough to ask these direct questions. And I suspect she's going to be having death threats soon.
Oh, she will.
Yes.
Marjorie Taylor Greene is getting death threats. All kinds of people are getting death threats.
I don't think she's resigning, right? You know that she's supposed to leave on January 5th. I think
Well,
she's been
she claims
forced
she's
out.
resigning.
Yeah,
You
I think
you
she's being forced out.
forced out.
Yes.
Well,
because
then
she
why
spoke
does she
out
hold?
against Trump and is asking for the
Well, we got
names.
that part, but the point is that she still went online and said, "I'm going to resign," and she
Yeah,
gave her.
well,
She's
it's a
getting death
face-saving
threats.
move, in my opinion.
Well, she told the truth. She's getting death threats.
Yes, I believe that. Yes, this is worse than a banana republic.
Oh, it is worse than a bit. Yeah, we're stooping to the lowest lows.
In such a short time, less than a year, we went from a respected country to now the laughing stock of the world. Not only a laughing stock, it's like viewed as a crazy, unpredictable, unreliable trading and political partner.
And Trump is selling Ukraine out to Putin.
Yes,
We already gave Ukraine billions of military items, and now he's giving it away. What's interesting to me is watching how Europe is going to deal with it.
they're the only adults in the room, it seems like.
They are, and the question is, to what extent do they believe that their security demands that they take on Russia?
Kayla, do you have an opinion?
Not at this moment.
I'm of two opinions on that one, Jack. One, Russia cannot afford to fight multiple wars on multiple fronts, in my opinion. They could barely hold their own in Ukraine. Now, if you take some other superpower like China, who says, we make one small little flick of a finger and Russia falls. They could go into Siberia, they could go through, the Mongolian areas. Russia would fall very, very quickly. And you know why China would do that? China would start something on the Indian Pakistani region. They would start something in the Russian region and distract Russia, distract the US. We'd send forces all over there. And that sets them up so that Taiwan is undefended and they'll go in and take Taiwan. Because Trump is not going to go support any other country, not while he's president. He doesn't live to and respect, he doesn't respect any of the international treaties that the US has signed. He's blowing them up. I just don't understand how our government is so spineless that we let somebody like this into office or even run for office.
Well, I'm just hoping that the midterms 1 year from now will be a bloodbath.
I still think, Jack, I will bet you $1.25 that we're not going to have elections if Trump is still in office. He will do everything to make sure we do not ever have another election, not at the federal level.
Well, that's it's a silly bet, but I would or actually take it simply because there's no way the Supreme Court is going to do that. The Constitution.
Have you taken a look at the Supreme Court lately, Jack?
I understand that, but they have their limits.
I
They have their limits.
I don't think they think so.
Well, yeah, except let's just say, borrowing a phrase from Sarah, what's her name? There are Fourth Amendment or Second Amendment solutions.
You mean Civil War?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what it's going to take because
yeah,
government doesn't work right now. And do
yeah,
you
yeah.
think that anybody in the United States is ready to do that? The people who are armed are the Bible thumpers.
Yeah, so I've been reading a number of headlines here and there um, about a looming civil war.
You remember that Doug Carmichael called it in 2011, back when I first joined Serious Conversations. He said that's what it's going to come to. He called it 14 years ago.
Yeah, I think he's right.
Yeah, I think that's the only way things happen. And I don't think we're organized. I don't see the reasonable people being organized enough to do that. We're organized enough to do rallies and marches and sign waving and that sort of thing, but it's another whole level to do armed revolution. And Trump has already purged the military of all the people who took an oath to the Constitution and kind of respected it. So now all the remaining people are the people who don't care about the Constitution. They'll just follow orders. Here's where we need another country to sort of step in and liberate us from this corrupt government, like quote unquote we used to do.
Well, I've had a few talks with Sonny Batia, who's teaching at West Point, and he doesn't he hasn't given any indication that he thought uh, that the military had lost control.
Well, certainly the top brass has. Hegseth is an idiot and he reports to Trump and supposedly he's the Secretary of War. If I could talk to Sonny, and I don't know if you have done so, did he know any of the generals who were called to that Quantico meeting a month or so ago?
I don't know that he knows them. He's too far down the ranks. See, he came up through cyber defense. The Army formed a cyber defense division just as he graduated boot camp and was made an American citizen.
Hmm.
And almost immediately, within days, I got a phone call from the Secret Service wanting to talk about him.
Hmm.
And I had I when I sat down with her, um, I said, you guys are lucky to have him. And she said, we know that. Um, he was a Microsoft certified developer at age 12 in India. His parents did all the right things. And when he told me in the Bay Area one day, he said, I'm going to join the army. And I said, why? And he said two things. They're going to make me an American citizen and I get to play with the big toys. And I said, no, you don't. I said, they don't let people with your brain power ever, ever, ever play with the big toys. You're
Well,
not malleable enough.
they let him play with the biggest toys.
Well, they immediately saw what he was. And when they shipped him overseas, we know it was Afghanistan, they put him way out in the sticks where he didn't have to pick up his rifle and shoot.
Hmm.
They did let him jump out of an airplane. That was as close as he got to playing with the big toys.
Yeah, but by big toys I meant that if they have anything like a, super coordinated multiple drone, strategy, that's the kind of thing that they will put him
Well, that's
into.
the cyber defense is going to do that, but no, he
Right.
doesn't get to drive the tanks or
Yeah,
or
those are
or
the
run a
small
machine.
toys now, Jack.
You know, well, to him they were the big toys. He wanted to drive tanks. He wanted to get out there and drive the jeeps and do the shit that the rank and file do, and they weren't going to let him do that.
Well, no, the officers are right. They let him do that for about a month or two and then made him do something else.
Well, the big reason he went overseas is because you're not respected if you don't have the
Exactly.
overseas badge on
Exactly.
your
So they had to give him that cred so that
yeah.
later on he could have that respect.
Exactly. And they did all the right things. And like my brother, when he went in the army, um, when he took the entrance exam, he scored higher than anybody they'd ever seen. And so they didn't let him have he didn't do in Nam, he didn't do anything but sit on a high hill and draw German script on the sergeant's helmets and things shit like that. He was not put out where he could shoot anything.
Anyway, I'd be curious to see if any of that meeting got, let's say, crystallized into some kind of a camp debrief that was able to reach Sonny.
He hasn't spoken, and maybe it was a debrief that was um, uh, that he can't pass on. Secret clearance, blah blah blah. I mean, that's why the Secret Service talked to me about him. They were going to give him a clearance.
Of course, that's the EBI, the Extended Background Investigation.
Yep, yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I think MTG is being forced out. But then now is the question, what's going to happen to that seat? Now, I also hear that Massey is putting together articles of impeachment and seems to have bipartisan support for it now. We'll see.
Weak bipartisan support, not
Yes, yes,
everybody.
of course. Yeah.
And this would be what, the second or third time he's been impeached?
Third,
Third.
yeah, he's setting records. But see, in the meantime, people get damaged. Like all these education funds dry up, funds for nonprofits, like the one Kayla works at, would dry up. The state programs for health drying up. I've heard that Medicare premiums are going up another $100.
They are.
Yeah, see, I mean, do you not then understand why I'm leaving the country?
Well, I think it's your realization that you could get wrapped up in one of those ship them off to South Succotash kind of airplane rides, and I wouldn't want to do that, so I'd leave to hide for that. I do understand what you're up against. Um, uh, this morning, I up until this morning, I wasn't concerned for my kids, my two naturalized um, U.S. citizens, and they weren't naturalized the way you were. They just came over and stayed here for 3 months and became U.S. citizens without all that other horseshit and taking tests and all the rest of it. Um, their birth certificate shows they were born in Korea, but they immediately got passports that said they are American citizens, full stop. Now, And I don't know that they are out on the campaign trails, active in anything. But there was something in HuffPo this morning about a U.S. citizen who's adopted kids he was now worried about.
He was not worried?
He is worried.
Yeah, I would be. Yeah,
Now, if his adopted kids were out on the picket lines and vocal, yeah, there'd be plenty of reason to worry. They don't care about your passport. They only care about your skin color.
that's right.
That is so disgusting.
Yep, it is. Now, you were born here, right?
Nah,
Kayla?
no, I was not. I
So
was born in the Philippines.
so you were naturalized
Hmm.
at what age?
I think it was like 8 or 9 or something. You know,
Okay.
I became a U.S. citizen, went to the whole 9 yards. My dad was a Navy. That's how we got in. Is he served for our country.
Yes, yes, I get that. Well, me, the radical middle of the roader, I'm just counting on a bloodbath on the midterms. I believe that we will have the election.
Okay, Kayla is the witness. We have 125 pennies at stake between you and me, Jack.
We have a
Oh,
dollar.
we bet $1.25. Jack accepted, and
By
Okay.
the
so
way, they don't make pennies anymore.
I still have a few.
I do too.
And regardless, I have nickels and quarters and dimes still, a few.
And they figure that nickels are going to go the way of the penny.
Which reminds me, when I look at these prices of homes overseas, and the units are in the hundreds of thousands and millions and 10 millions, and then you realize, well, let's see, that comes out to be about $100,000 US. You know, then you sort of see what's really happened to currency in all these countries. And then I get to thinking, who's really rigged the currency exchanges? Obviously, the people who want to oppress these other countries. So that's another big game that most people don't see and don't understand. Like, the exchange rates with Africa, practically obscene, except for South Africa, of course, because they have a white population there and a Nazi population at that.
May
A
I
lot of it,
ask something? Have you guys heard of any type of like research done on like behavior genetics? Meaning like why I just don't understand racism. I really don't, you know. And I'm not saying it's only just like, is it more prominent in certain races or is it racism across the board? It's the only reason why I'm saying that is like, I wonder if it's tied to some weird genetic thing. I'm not saying that like some disease or anything, but I just, I just don't get it with
Well,
racism.
let me tell you an experience I had. I went to Mali and I realized that I could walk down the middle of the street in Bamako in the middle of the night with the blackest of black people you could imagine around me. and not at all feel threatened. I think that culture, tribal culture, is one of the drivers of behavior. It's just an opinion, not
Tribal culture.
based on tribal culture. I mean, if you go back to the time when tribes began to form, and out of those tribes, you had um, a breakdown. Tribes were like guilds. You had roles to play. You were born into a role. You were the storyteller. You were the priest. You were the rainmaker. You were the whatever, which meant your father was blah 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 blah. And I saw this in definitely in Mali. Um, I rode out into the bush with an engineer who said he knew where I could buy a kura, which is technically an African guitar made with a giant gourd. And we did go to this compound, and we bought the kura from a guy. And I asked him how much he wanted, and he said, "I want 20 US dollars." And I said, "Why?" And he says, "Because I went to Las Vegas with this guitar, and I am so in love with the money." And so I gave him a $20 US bill and took the guitar. And in the back seat of the car with the engineer, I handed it to him. And he said, "No, I can't play that." And I said, "Why?" And he says, "I'm an engineer. I'm not a musician. I'm not allowed to do that." Now, what was amusing is on the way out to the bush, we stopped at a village where the engineer got out of the car and gave some money to a woman. And I said, "Who's that?" And he said, "It's one of my wives." So the tribal culture basically told you who you were and how you behave. But these people were not warring people. So I did not feel threatened. We went all over the place. And the only people that were threatening were the Germans that were in town. They were weird. And they were telling us stories about the Russians who came out and landed their jet in the desert and went out and started mining gold. And just before they were ready to take off with all the gold from the Malians came out with their guns and shot the tires out of the airplane. That's the extent of their worrying. But here in the colonies, we have gangs. There are many tribes, and elsewhere you've got these cartels. They're a kind of a gang. Um, we've got white people and all kinds of people who ride in the Hells Angels, for example. And there are moments when they do things that are good, and there are moments when they do things that are bad. Hard to predict. I do not think there's a gene that makes you, let's call it the asshole gene. I don't know there's anything like that.
I would have to agree. I think if you take a look at, let's
The
say,
asshole.
Chinese history, there's been plenty of examples, where one group is against, another group. And in fact, there's a whole period of Chinese history called the Warring States period, which is the warring tribes, you could call them. What I do find interesting, though, is the notion of Ubuntu arises from Africa.
Yes, it does.
The the notion of, live and let live, kind of, the yin
Yep.
yang business came out of China and Taoism. And that has been there for thousands of years. That is a very foundational aspect of Chinese culture. Now, you could also say that in the Middle East and in Northern Europe, there is the teaching of the do unto others as you would have others do unto you.
That's the
But
Christian
we
ethic.
also
Yeah. Of
find that there's a lot of exceptions to that. That
course,
behavior is, let's say, not ubiquitous,
especially
not
in
as
Trump, who even sells a Bible.
yeah. Now, let me also mention one last example, which is the indigenous peoples. I think the indigenous peoples, although they were tribal, there are what, dozens of them here in the Americas, quote unquote, but they seem to mostly get along.
Yep.
There's some conflict, but they mostly got along. And in fact, an untold part of US history is that when the Constitution was being drafted, they were taking some of the ideas from the indigenous peoples, putting them in the Constitution,
Hmm.
but not crediting them.
Not crediting them. The indigenous people tended to worship Mother Earth in its own way, um, and the Europeans, however they got there, um, basically see Mother Earth as riches to rape.
That's right. Something to pillage and exploit and make yourself rich on,
Yep.
which
So was that part of their tribe? That was the values that their tribe had.
well, I would say yes. It goes all the way back for hundreds or thousands of years to, let's say, the way some of the northern Scandinavian people lived, which was they would just go out and rape and pillage and steal and plunder and rape. By the way, if you guys saw the Vikings series, I thought they did a pretty good job depicting that on screen.
I did. Was it on HBO?
I forget. I don't have HBO, so it must have been available at least on some other platform like Netflix. I have Netflix, so it's probably on Netflix.
Well, I don't have Netflix.
But Vikings, there's about, I don't know, 4 or 5 seasons of it. Really depicts Ragnarok, one of the most famous Vikings, and his sons, his lineage, who led all kinds of cruel rape and pillage trips. But he, interestingly, eventually settled in what became the British geography and strangely converted to Christianity himself. He sort of bought into that game.
Another way to rape and pillage. The
I
one
really
that
like.
gets me. Go ahead.
I really like what you said, Jack, about the tribes. It's got me thinking.
Yeah, what gets me is that particular tribe in Nigeria that just basically practically 3 days in a row took little girls from a Catholic school. They took 350 of them the other day, just yesterday, I think it was. And I read this morning that 50 of them escaped. How do you grab 350 girls from a school? I It's just hard to imagine.
Are you talking about to be trafficked, to
So
be
now
sexually exploited?
no nobody knows exactly I haven't seen any reporting on what they did with them, but it could be trafficking, yes.
Isn't it common knowledge that the most vulnerable, let's say orphan kids, kids without stable family situations, are the most vulnerable to trafficking, and also probably the most underreported. So this is
Under,
at an order of magnitude beyond what we know and beyond what we can document. In fact, I was reading, going through Virginia Giuffre's book, Nobody's Girl, and it is an art that evil people like Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell have honed to such a degree. The ability to spot vulnerable children, especially girls, and to prey on them, to give them those things which the family never gave them, pretend to be nice, pretend to be benefactors, and then exploit the shit out of them.
yep, that's how it works.
And it was done by the hundreds, if not the thousands, by Epstein and Maxwell. And by the way, looks like by Trump as well.
Well, nobody's pinned him down on that.
But we know that he is quite aware of what Epstein was doing.
Oh, we know that, but whether he actually died in the game, we don't know. I mean, I wouldn't put it past him.
Yeah, we haven't proven it yet. But just
They
look at
haven't
the
proven it.
duration of time which he associated with those people. Look at the kind of organizations he himself organized, like the Miss USA or whatever it was called, pageant, and the age of the
Yeah,
contestants.
the Miss USA pageant, he ran that, and that may have been coincident with the Epstein time. I don't know.
And other fellows that he associated with. The French guy, what was his name? Who, again, was well known to have been abusing girls. And then some guy that ran a modeling agency, which even Ivanka was part of for a time. Ivana or Ivanka, his daughter. I forget what her name is.
Her name is Ivana, Ivanka.
Yeah, the mother, I guess, is Ivana.
Yeah, yeah, her mother is Ivana.
Yeah.
Yes.
So anyway, this guy associated, I mean, right and left, front, center, with all these people who have organizations that coincidentally have to do with young girls. Is that incriminating? No. But circumstantially suspicious? Absolutely. And then you sort of see references by Trump in these little birthday cards. Our lovely little secret, or whatever his wording was.
Hi. You have to dump the
So
Speak to
water.
Maxwell.
can
Oh,
you turn off the meeting analytics for a moment?
yeah.
Let me see. Can I do so? Let's see. Uh, okay, I'm going to put on hold. Okay. All right. Meeting analytics has been put on hold.
Yeah. Everything that we just said was recorded and went into somebody's GPT,
Yes, I understand that. I've been very aware
and
of that.
and it could clearly come back and bite us.
Yep. That's another reason I'm quite vocal, against the current administration and its practices and the party at large, and even Democrats who are doing stupid, questionable, and possibly corrupt things. I don't put it past Democrats. I don't certainly don't put it past the Republicans. So yes, I've been quite vocal for over a decade on these topics. And
Who's
since
GPT?
airport TSA personnel are now searching phone social media apps, it's going to be all over mine if I happen to carry my phone. I know, Kayla,
So,
it's going to be going to a lot of GPTs. It's not just any one.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah.
so
What
you probably want to, if you when you go traveling, you take a burner phone.
I could, although I don't want to hide who I am either. If they stop me at the border, I don't want to be a coward. I'll just tell them, hey, this is against the Constitution, and I'll make a ruckus. I'll make a scene.
Oh, did you hear about that or watch that commercial? I don't even know if it's commercial, but a bunch of people who are in the military had said, you know, you don't have to follow illegal orders.
That was some senators that said that,
Oh, okay.
and and Trump called them traitors, and they needed to be hanged.
Yeah. Yep.
However, the senators were all from the military, and they were only quoting the oath they took when they joined the military.
Tammy Duckworth is one of the few who remember.
So, kids, I'm going to leave. Um,
Okay,
I'm
Jack.
glad.
Hopefully, we'll see you again next weekend, and I can bring up other topics as well. But this one, it is a part of the zeitgeist, unfortunately.
Yep, but it's not has nothing to do with collaborology.
Actually, I think it does. The question is, how do you see, we're at such a ineffective range. How do we learn how to organize and collaborate against demagoguery, against fascism,
That well,
against,
so
yeah,
now you just entered the realm of what I call the sense-craft vision. We can, in fact, and this speaks to Kayla's question, we can, in fact, train up a generation of kids who do deep listening and critical thinking and don't let dopamine drive them in their conversations. We can do that. I'm going to leave.
okay, Jack,
Bye.
hey, a reminder for next time on that topic. Ask me what Brene Brown just said about that topic that you just mentioned. Over.
How will I remember to ask you that?
We'll see if you have a, PKR that does so.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye. I like what he said about the um, tribalism. It's a
Yes.
really good example.
Well, I think, anytime people have this othering, like those are others, we are we, those are others, then
Yeah.
you have this natural, quote unquote, fear and distancing and wariness that, when taken to an extreme, naturally will almost inevitably raise itself to conflict of some kind.
Yeah. It's just so deep with white people.
You know what I find interesting is, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree with you. Okay, I do agree with you. Which is what I was saying about Vikings and Northern Europeans, the rape and pillage and plunder. But
Yeah.
look, the Chinese have been warring also for many
Yeah.
hundreds and thousands of years.
Yeah.
Um, but I find it interesting that and I don't know much about this in detail, but the Silk Road happened to be a really interesting mix of cultures, right? People travel from China, India, all the way back to Europe and all those countries in between and traded. And learned the language and ate the food and bought the trinkets and married, intermarried. And yet, at least history doesn't teach us that the Silk Road generated lots of violent conflicts. It was mostly successful exchange of goods.
Mhm.
I think that's an interesting example.
Yeah.
Clearly, there were a lot of cultures, being crossed geographically.
Yeah.
I got dogs waking up.
I'm sorry?
They're at the back. My dogs are barking at the back door, thinking there's something out there.
I'm
What do you
sorry?
see? My
Oh,
dogs
oh,
are
the
at the
dogs.
back door, thinking there's something out there. What do you see, Guy? I don't see anything, but they can probably either smell or hear something that I cannot perceive,
Oh.
which is interesting because all the doors and windows are closed.
Hmm.
And I see no movement in the grass or in the brush or bushes.
Aren't animals amazing?
They are. They're better than humans.
Much better.
Yes. So anyway, while we were with Jack, we were able to digress a little bit. I
Yeah.
think you were talking about something else when Jack arrived, however. Do you remember what
Um,
that was?
no, unfortunately.
The only thing I
Must
had
have not
asked
been
you was
important.
how your day or week was. And I know Tuesday and Wednesday is coming up for you.
This week was a little bit of a blur. It's difficult to concentrate, but I think I'm getting it back, the concentration back. Um, what did I do this week? I tried the good thing about deadlines is, especially if you remember or if you know, write them down,
Mhm.
or if it's something that's cyclical, is that, that's at least something I could shoot for, even if it's difficult. And so I
Right.
was able to do that when it comes to work. So I'm happy that my organization skill at least is giving me an opportunity to meet those deadlines.
Yeah.
So I skipped a board meeting. I skipped a one-on-one with Melissa, just because I really wasn't into it. I don't believe in just like putting myself out there if I can't perform 100%.
Mhm.
So,
So are you quote
um,
unquote still on leave or are you back to work?
well, last week, the only time that I took off was Friday, but I technically was back to work. I was just kind of, you know, um, meeting my deadlines. I had a marketing plan that I had to look at and approve. Oh, I have to look at it again. Everything's so confusing. The way they ask me things is so confusing. Um, but I'm glad that we've got this marketing plan in place because it helps us to see, where we're at and where we should move forward in terms of marketing. So, and I did have 3 interviews, which was really cool. I had an interview with Habitat for Humanity. One of my friends from the VCLA cohort 30 is the chief development officer for Habitat for Humanity. Unfortunately, it pays probably the same, maybe just a little bit more than my current position. And you would
Mhm.
think that it would pay more, but
Mhm.
I surmised that there are individual chapters as opposed to like with the American Red Cross. They made it one centralized Red Cross. So they are in need of their fund development team to be a little bit bigger for more capacity. So she wants to bring me in for an interview in front of some of her coworkers, and they have great benefits, 100% medical.
Mhm.
So if I do get this job and it pays the same as what I'm getting paid at the moment, at least I've got medical covered. And so that's
Yeah.
an extra $200 that goes back into my paycheck. as opposed to being taken out of my paycheck. So I'm happy for that. The only thing is that I feel like she's kind of like Melissa, where she's kind of all over the place. Like her train of thought didn't really have any timeline. It was just she exploded with information. And she was just saying that she had hoped that whoever is in this position would be more people facing, just because that's how you get um, more donations, if you connect more with the donors. And I agree. I completely agree. I told her, unfortunately, in my current position, I have not been able to do any people facing because there's just so much to do behind the scenes, and so much structure to put in place that won't allow me to do that. So, anyways, there was that. And then there was another one that I think I did well, but I didn't do my research. And there was something else again. Max, can you lower that?
Yeah.
Because that is loud. Can't hear my thoughts. But that's it. I mean,
Hey, what about the dog rescue one? Is that still alive?
No, unfortunately, it's not. They're just not looking for somebody, and I guess I didn't make that much of an impression.
They just had a job wreck out there just because they didn't mean it?
They said that eventually they're looking into somebody to do corporate solicitation, but they said that it's not really something that they're looking at right now. Anyway. So what have you got going on today?
Well, I gotta finish the move. I gotta
Yeah.
finalize the rental agreement, which the guy will sign today or tomorrow. And then after that, then on Wednesday, after I get funds, I'll give him a key. And there's still some repairs that will be ongoing. So that's itemized in the rental agreement. So I have to write that down carefully. That's going to occupy most of today. A few weeks ago, I had mentioned something that I wanted to write up for, remember kids across the world sharing Zoom sessions on a weekly basis and
Yeah.
asking
Yeah.
each other. I'm still writing that up, by the way. So I've been
That's
thinking about that
awesome.
continuously.
Nice.
Yeah. But this rental stuff is really occupying a lot of my focus and time and energy and attention. Oh,
Yeah.
and I'm also focused on an interesting investing opportunity coming up tomorrow morning at market open at 6:30 a.m. So it's a high risk maneuver, but I'm going to see if I can do it.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Let me know how that goes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I could either be happy or I could lose $800. That's how much I'm going to risk on this thing.
Yeah.
Oh man, about a month or so ago, I bought one of those hot AI companies right at their peak, and then they cratered. So I lost, oh geez. The last couple of
Oh
months, I've lost like
no.
$17,000, so my strategy was not working to perfection.
Ah.
Yeah, it was losing to perfection.
Losing
That's why
to
I'm trying this
perfection.
new strategy now.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah.
Oh
There you go.
boy. So
What do you
I
got
don't.
going on, Rep? Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I didn't quite understand you yesterday. So Gail's living with you temporarily, or
Downstairs. Yeah.
downstairs? Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Wow.
Because I had to
I
vacate
thought.
the duck house so that the renter could come in and do what they needed to do.
So you even though you had given her enough time to
Yes.
get
Yes.
out.
Hence
Uh,
the conversation yesterday.
yeah. I thought about it again today.
Hmm.
Definitely get with a family attorney as soon as possible because I don't know what your laws are with like um what is it like the common wife law or something.
Yeah. I
Here in
know
the
it's
state
top
of
of
California.
mind. Don't even mention it. I'm not even going to say it. But yes, I
Oh
will.
yeah.
I will get with somebody.
Um, but yeah, over here I remember when I was about to kick out my ex, um,
Mhm.
Brian. They said that if he has been living with me for at least 2 weeks, then that's considered, he's, um, entitled, I guess, to the home too, or something
That's
crazy like that. And so, anyways, I went to the police. That's another thing. I went to the police about it as well, and I had something on him too. Um, you know, I don't know if you want to go there, but if you've got something on her, that's another way. It's messy and it's
yeah.
terrible, but like last resort desperation. You could
Yeah.
always do what's called a move out restraining order.
Okay.
So, yeah,
That sounds useful to know. Yep.
yeah,
I got to do all that research while all this other stuff is going on as well.
I know. Sorry, I thought about that and I was like, oh, I should tell him.
No, it's helpful. Thank you for thinking on my behalf.
Yeah.
Uh,
Good stuff, huh? It's life.
life happens.
And that's the thing is like I hated so much. It's like I swear men really just like and obviously I'm not talking about you, but like men in the past just really killed love for me. They really did. I just, and then of course my own stupidity and I can't like kick myself enough for leading with my heart, but that belief of leading with your heart is really what kills sometimes, and it's a big lesson and I'm still wondering if it's even worth it. So, I blame a lot of society when it comes to women because number one, when I was growing up, women were not empowered to be independent and think critically and think of putting themselves in scenarios where they're safe.
Hmm.
We weren't. Our like my whole thing was if you find a man, then you're gonna have all of those things. You're going to have safety, you're going to have like support, you're going to have love, you're going to have this and that.
Hmm.
And then, the whole idea of love conquering all. I mean, it's a good dream, but we have to be realistic too about certain things. And that's what just, again, kind of kills me too about it. Because if you want to help, you know, um, leading with love is something that's very honorable. But what sucks is when you have to kind of think critically about yourself and about your situation and about like, is this really
Yeah.
smart? Is this a smart move?
Yeah.
And I see
Well,
so many people, including myself, kind of beat each other down because of it, and it sucks. Anyways, I was just ranting.
I'm going to place much of the blame, not all the blame, but much of the blame on the fairy tales that we teach our children.
Yes,
And a
yes,
lot of it is from Disney.
yep,
Meet your prince, and be happily ever after. Or, fit the little slipper and he's going to love you forever and you'll be
yeah,
a queen or a princess. You know,
yep,
None of it is realistic. And I was very clear with my kids that this is not the way life works.
yeah,
You know, maybe it works for what, 0.5% of people? I don't think it's even that high.
yeah. I
It
agree.
doesn't talk about anything having to do with, understanding each other, aligning values, learning how to communicate, learning how to negotiate and compromise or build a win-win. None of that is addressed in these fairy tales.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
And people don't understand they're just fairy tales. But
Yep.
then all these, especially young girls, say, "Oh, I dream of that. That's what I aspire to." And then they're
Mm-hmm.
disappointed when it doesn't happen.
Yep.
Or
Agreed.
boys say, "Well, I want to be the knight on shining armor, and I'm going to come across this beautiful girl laying in the forest, sleeping, and I'm going to kiss, quote unquote, the girl." It wasn't just a kiss. Jesus,
That's crazy, isn't it?
so fucking stupid.
It is.
Like,
Mm.
there's no communication of consent. The kid, you know, the prince didn't say, "May I kiss you?" No, he just leaned in and just went for it.
Mm-hmm.
And by kiss, I mean double quotes on the kiss.
Yeah.
It's a fucking stupid fairy tale.
Yep.
As you can tell, I'm not a Disney fan.
Well, lately the Disney stuff have been a lot more, it's been a lot better, I have to say.
Starting
Definitely.
with,
Well, there's Brave, and
okay,
Brave has that whole thing where it's more of a journey with the mom, but the parents, of course, expect the princess to marry, and she's just like, marrying? Like, I don't want to do this. Like, you guys didn't even give me the choice. I want this to be a choice of mine. And then they make her be like an expert marksman.
okay,
And then she has this journey with her mom where, like, her mom's a traditional queen. And as a princess, she was always able to ride horses and, like, shoot her bows and arrows and live kind of a little bit more free, catching her food and hunting and things like that.
mm-hmm,
And so
mm-hmm,
her mom becomes a bear, and then her mom, as a bear, sees her daughter for who she is and realizes that she's got a lot of useful, pretty good qualities. And then, of course, the daughter in turn realizes, that she misses her mom um, for who she is, and her mom had always been there for her, and only wanted the best for her. So there's that. That one's really cool. There's Mulan, who wanted to be a boy, or
yep,
not wanted to be a boy. She wanted to serve and protect her land,
yep,
but unfortunately, they didn't have like a man in her family, so her dad was going to serve with
that's right.
the army, and so she turned into a boy so that she can serve on behalf of her family.
Yep.
So that one was pretty cool. What else is there? There's also
I
Frozen.
remember that line. Will you stay for dinner? Will you stay forever? Remember that line
No.
in Mulan? Sorry, it was one of the funniest lines. My
Oh.
kids love that line.
Yeah. And then there's also Frozen, which is more fairy tale-ish, but it's like a love between sisters. So Disney is kind of sort of getting a little bit better. They've got their, weird things and quirks about them, but at least it's not about, like, men and women um, getting together, and that's their whole thing. So that's what I had a problem with. It shouldn't be like that, shouldn't be the identity, of a woman. She should be able to find her identity first.
Yep.
Um, that's one thing that I want to talk about in my dad's eulogy. That's so my dad was a very blunt person. I remember I told him I wanted to be like a model. And I don't know if I
Hmm.
told you this story because, I was like very pretty when I was a lot younger. And anyways, I told him that I had wanted to be a model. And then he goes, well, what's going to happen? What are you going to do when you become old and ugly? I straight up said, what are you going to do for a job? So,
By then
like,
you'll
I
have
used to
millions, you said.
so I would get so mad at him. And then of course he would like launch into some type of um, um, lecture about how like I should really just like focus on being smart first, instead of trying to like, use my beauty for money. That was basically what he was saying. So I
Mhm.
love that conversation with him. But another thing that he always told me, like, for number one, he never felt like he should be nice to like the men in my life that he met. He was cordial to them, but he's a father. Obviously, he's not gonna,
Mhm.
be the nicest person in the world. But when I told him that I was moving out for the first time, he didn't like it. Obviously, he didn't say anything to me. The only thing that he did say was make sure you still have a job. You don't depend on a man because if something happens, where are you going to go?
Yeah.
Like that was like his answer. And
Mhm.
so that stuck with me forever, even when I was
Mhm.
married. And Kenny and I were thinking about like me being a stay at home mom, but it was my dad who was just like, yeah, no, just have your own money,
Yeah.
just in case something happened. So I appreciated that
Yeah.
um, with him. My
Number two rule, have your own dog.
dogs freaked me out yesterday. Speaking of like dogs seeing something that isn't there, um, Eclipse started growling in the middle of the night. Like she was on my bed and she just started growling. And I'm like, oh shit, here it goes. I was like, who's here? What ghost, what evil being is here right now?
Mm.
So anyway, I think she was growling in her sleep because the other dogs weren't growling. But that freaked the hell out of me.
That she was dreaming something?
Probably.
Yeah. It's funny when dogs dream.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes the dogs will bark or yip or, like make running, motions with their legs. It's really cute to see when they're dreaming.
Are you okay? You keep barfing. You all right? My dog keeps throwing up. She might be eating too fast or drinking too much water too fast. But she's barfing. Ay, ay, ay.
See, this 75-pound golden thinks she's a lap dog. She's been here for several minutes. She'll stay for like 45 minutes if I let her.
Oh, I know. I don't know if you saw the video of Eclipse um, trying to get Maxwell's attention.
No, I haven't seen that one yet.
Oh yeah, it was so cute. This video of Eclipse trying to get Max's attention, and she makes these noises. She's like, "Rah, rah," and then eventually she like hits him. She was like trying to get his attention by like tapping on his shoulder,
Mm.
and then she like taps on his head. She like taps on his shoulders a couple of times, and then she just boom taps on his head. And then he looks at her and he's like, "What do you want?" And then she goes ahead and like starts like almost touching his face. It was so funny.
Yep,
Dogs.
yep. No matter what happens, an hour later, they still love you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got one of those Costco rotisserie chickens a couple of days ago. And normally I take it, I shred it, I put the meat into like a, plastic container and then the bones and whatever else is just stuff that I can give to the dogs every once in a while. But I took the bag and put it in the trash. Now my trash is covered, okay? Because I don't want to get into it. But I was out across the street packing for a while. Man, they love the smell of that rotisserie chicken bag. They really got into the trash. They dug it all up. It was all over the floor.
Oh,
Stuff was all over the floor.
oh man.
Yep.
Crazy.
They haven't learned that lesson yet.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Uh,
So what do you got going on the rest of today?
well, as we speak, I am um, organizing my dad's photos. Um, so I took pictures of a bunch of old photos and then downloaded them onto my computer. And then I'm sorting them by like old photos of dad,
Mhm.
photos of like, us, his kids, and my mom, and then photos of the grandkids, photos of family, like his brother and like my uncle, um, and then of course grandchildren, and then dancing and friends. And so after this, then I'll export it into a slideshow um, by timeline. And
Mhm.
then after that, I'm going to add, just little blurbs here and there um, in the slideshow. And then I'll put it on the thumb drive and then I'll bring it to the mortuary tomorrow so they can make sure that it's compatible with whatever they got. But
Mhm.
what I want to do is I want to add music to it. I kind of want to time it with the music, but I don't think
Mhm.
that's going to happen. I think I'm just going to have to. I don't have time to do any remixes too, and I wouldn't know how to do that anyway.
Mhm.
But that's what I'm doing right now. Looking at old photos, making
You
sure
know,
everything
after
is in there.
after we had that little conversation about your cutout and your dad and using AI to create something, I also was
Yeah.
thinking, would it be inappropriate? Take all those old photos and any old videos you might have of your dad, from various different perspectives and time frames and angles and stuff like that, and have the AI create a video of your dad speaking a speech that you write. I've had a good life, Kayla's my favorite daughter, I remembered her
Yeah.
baby.
I don't know if my family would be ready for that, to be honest. I think I think they're like some of them are a little hesitant with the cutout, but eventually they're just like, yeah, okay, it's a good idea. But
Anyway,
yeah,
just musings,
yeah, right.
just to bring him back to life, maybe that's the wrong thing. I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know.
Well, I think that's something wonderful maybe later for like
Yeah,
immediate family.
yeah,
Me and my siblings and then my mom.
yeah. Maybe at the 1 year memorial.
Yeah. Or like my sons. That'd be
Ah,
great for my sons.
yeah.
Yeah. But I think it might be a little too advanced for my family. I think the shit that I talk about is too advanced for my family for most people. That's why I hang out with you guys. There's nobody else who really challenges my brain or
Not
has some
challenging
great
your brain.
ideas. Yeah, yeah, you bring new words, new perspectives, you bring explanation without like too much emotion. You bring emotion when it's appropriate and used appropriately. Like Jack today, even though he annoys the shit out of me sometimes, and I brace myself for like, you're gonna make any dumb reference, like um, I still appreciate him because of his nuggets of knowledge, like he said today, and so I'm gonna stew on
Mhm.
that for a little bit. Um, but yeah, I enjoy it. I like using my brain. I like when other people, can match me. And again, I think my dad was the same way. You know,
Mhm.
my mom was saying that towards the end, he didn't really like to socialize because it hurt for him to talk physically. Like it was hard for him. It probably physically hurt his brain and it physically hurt his vocal cords because even with us, he said that he's like, okay, well, I'm not going to talk anymore because it hurts. And so we'd be like, okay, cool. But before that, he often like would leave parties early and I'd be like, why are you leaving? And he's all like, nobody's talking about anything. And I'm like, what are you talking about? They're all talking. And he's like, yeah, but they're talking about nonsense.
I get
That's
it.
what he
I
would
feel
say
very
to
much
me.
the same
Like,
way.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so he would leave. And so I'd be like, oh, yeah, that makes sense to me. And my mom would get all mad. She's all like, your dad's leaving again. And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, he doesn't want to talk to them. They sound like morons.
Yeah. It's always like, yeah, I went to the beach today, and oh yeah, really? I went to the mall today, or yeah, well, I think I had a burger, I think yesterday, and yeah, it was about 73 degrees, and yeah, I was able to wear my shorts today. Ah, man, that stuff kills me.
Yeah. 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 Small talk. He hated
Mm,
it. He hated small
yeah,
talk.
yeah.
And oftentimes when he was talking to people and he would ask questions, I wouldn't really understand too much of what he was saying in Tagalog or Ilocano, but I
Hmm.
understood the gist of it. And he always made a lot of people kind of quiet, like, and thoughtful. And I noticed that I
Hmm.
do that with my family. Like they all just kind of stop talking. And I was just like, now I see it's almost like I could hear the hamster wheels turning and squeaking as they turn, you
Word, click,
know?
word, click, word, click, word, click.
It's like the hamster wheel was squeaking.
I think you were right. I think I would have enjoyed talking to your dad.
Yeah, yeah, he would have loved it. So that's why I was kind of like mad at him a little bit, um, these past couple of years because I was like, why are you getting old? I'd never said this to him, but in my head, I was like, why are you getting old, man? Like now I'm at a point where I can actually talk to you, and he wasn't there, I just, it was a little too late, but what can we say?
You
That's the sad
collected
part.
all the questions he might have brought up with you over the years.
Um, I don't know if it was more so like, I don't know if the questions were easy. I think they happened as it was coming. Like he sat on certain things. He asked questions about certain things. One of the questions that he loved, or one of the things he loved to debate, was the strength of men versus women. And then also, one thing he absolutely loved debating was like, why do people say you can't teach an old dog new tricks? Because I'm learning things all the time. That's what he would say to us. And then, of
Yeah.
course, we would just like roll our eyes and be like, ew, you're disgusting. Get away from us. Shut up. You don't know anything. Because we were like teenagers at the time. But he often said things like that. Just
Yeah,
like, why do people say this? It's not true, you
that's good.
know? And I didn't realize that, of course, until much later.
I think you would have enjoyed the Collaborology group conversations.
Yeah, he would have.
Yeah.
He would have gotten embarrassed, though. He would have been all, my English is not very good. I think that's where I get it from. I just like make fun of myself and call myself a bimbo, but like I think he would never call himself a bimbo, but he'd be like, "Yeah, my English isn't really that good."
Well, English is my second language.
Ay, ay. Life, right?
Yeah, yeah. Are you like other family members who are not coming to the memorial that are going to watch it live on stream, or you're not going to do something like that?
No, I'm not gonna do something like that. Our family doesn't have that much depth.
Mm.
You know, I have a cousin that, you know, she's fine. Like I don't have any beef with her right now, but she's always kind of didn't like me. And she had a hard time with her parents, and unfortunately, her dad, um, her dad was the one who like sexually assaulted me, and that was my dad's older brother. He only did it once, but it was enough for me to not like trust him and realize like the kind of person he was to his family. So he was also very verbally and physically abusive with his family. Um, and so I think my cousin has this thing, not against my dad, but it's not really her priority to attend his funeral. So that's the only thing I'm kind of sad about. Like Not that I wish she was there, but I'm sad of what had transpired between her father, to where it affects like her ability to be, you know, around the family at this
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Hmm.
You know what I want to do? Did I tell you this?
What?
I kind of want to do a reset. Like I kind of want to get away for a couple of days, like
On your own
out
or
in
with the
nature.
kids?
I don't know. I almost want to do it on my own, And I only say that because I don't think the kids would be into what I want to do. Like, like I want to I want to go into nature and go hiking and just relax somewhere and bring a book with me, maybe even play some games. But really just get out into nature. And I want to definitely do that Native American sweat lodge that I'm pretty sure I told you about, but I don't
Yes,
remember.
you did. You
Yeah.
did.
I kind of need a reset.
You and me
I feel
both.
like I feel like this death plus like what's going on in this country plus how I feel about my job. Like I feel like I need another reset.
So you and
Like
Melissa are no longer BFFs, right?
well, she doesn't know it yet, but my respect for her leadership is kind of going downhill.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's another thing. Like, what if I'm making a mistake? Because as you say, all of this is mice nuts. Maybe I'm making the wrong choice. Maybe with a little bit of patience and insight, I can turn it around.
Every place has its warts. Interesting that you talk about a reset. If I look at all these different places I'm thinking about going, there's a bunch of stuff I've put on my bucket list. But near the top are these Japanese onsen resorts. You know what those are?
No, what are they?
They're centuries old, very quiet, beautiful um, hot spring bath resorts. And these hot spring baths are, warm mineral water. And these resorts, can be as luxurious or as simple and, still very inviting, very welcoming. Uh,
Yeah,
but they seem very affordable. And the best ones are like these little hot springs in the middle of nature, right next to this luxurious little hotel room or condo room.
right.
And some of the most famous ones, this famous one has been run by the same family for 700 years.
Wow.
It's one of the most famous ones in Japan. Yeah, it's amazing, right? How many businesses can you think of that trace their history back 700 years?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's longer than most nations survive.
So they even knew 700 years ago that we'd need this. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So that's interesting. And then I've been learning more about Cyprus. Really, really interesting and beautiful and affordable getaway in the Mediterranean. And Montenegro is also very interesting.
Yeah.
Of course, the famous places are things like Ibiza, Palma, Mallorca. Those millions of people know about.
Right.
But some of the lesser well-known places where there's fewer crowds, just as beautiful scenery, and more of an opportunity to get, conversational with the natives. That's
Right.
what I really like. I don't want to like say, okay, 10 to 11, we're gonna hit this temple, and then 11 to 12, we're gonna go to that little museum, and 12 to 1, we're gonna have lunch at this place, and 1 to 4, we're gonna do this. Yeah. I hate vacations like that. I just rather spend like, one day, at one place and just sort of soak it in, get to know
Yes.
the environment, walk around a little bit, meet the people, eat the
Yeah.
food. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I hate to be rushed on vacation.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Therefore, I really don't like this, mass tour way of doing vacations. Get on a bus, you're allowed to bring one bag. Make sure you got your, drinks, stay hydrated. We got 4 places to hit today. You got
Yeah,
45 minutes to eat here. Oh yeah, we're gonna have a 10-minute pee break over there. Jeez,
right, right.
I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah,
Ah, shoot. Sorry.
yeah. So yeah, once all this rental stuff gets settled down, then uh, yeah, I'm gonna need a reset myself. Yeah,
Wow. Well, I'm hopeful for you, especially since you said you got a rental for downstairs.
yeah. It's possible. We
What's
certainly still need to redo the flooring there too.
what would the timeline be if this rental worked out?
Well, I got to take care of the duck house first, then turn
Uh,
attention to renovating the downstairs. So it's going to be another 4 to 8 weeks, I think.
yeah,
And that's being optimistic.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very optimistic.
But at least there's a possible renter, which is better than I knew about a month ago.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. So I think it's about time my renter guy is about to arrive. He's supposed to arrive at 10. I said, yeah, it's still about 20 minutes till, but I
Oh,
might
really?
head on over there early and yeah, it's
Yeah.
9:41, I think it is. I might go over
Yeah.
there and make sure that he's not surprised by anything he sees. We're gonna put things, all my stuff into a big trailer and then bring it over here to the place that the Cliff House, and put it in the
Right.
garage at least temporarily, at least until my storage unit arrives on the 5th. So I got to move it over here. Then I got to move it over there again into the storage unit. But the timing on that
Nice.
couldn't have been any sooner.
Yeah.
So a lot of logistics. I'll get some exercise. I'll get some steps
There you go.
on my watch.
Yeah.
Like yesterday, just going back and forth between these two houses, I got like 7,000 steps in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
And that's not counting all the box, lifting and dropping, so finally got a little bit of arm exercise.
Right.
My arms are quite wimpy, by the way.
Hey, you and me both. Oh my gosh.
Oh, something else I found was I've been finding these really interesting stretches and warm-ups and exercises that are really
Nice.
unusual. Like they're claimed to be out of like really old Tai Chi or Kung Fu kind of warm-ups and stretches, and they just use body weight. And they seem really interesting. I've never seen them in all my years ever before here in the United States. I've never seen these kinds of exercises, but you just look at them and say, yeah, that's going to definitely exercise your entire body. So yeah, I'm gonna try.
Really?
I've been trying some of them this year, this week. Yeah,
Yeah. Sounds awesome.
yeah, they really are. You don't need a big gym membership to do these things. Well, unless you want to go there for the pickup scene there. But if you just want to get healthy, and exercise your muscles, you don't need a gym membership.
No, I
I've
wanted
seen enough of this.
I know I want a gym membership just for like the sauna or the
Oh,
jacuzzi. That's it.
yeah, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, the renter, by the way, across the street, he asked permission and I gave it to him. He's going to install a hot tub out there on the deck.
Ooh, so lucky. Oh my God, how much money does this guy have?
Well, he's
Oh,
selling his house and he's getting a bunch of equity out from his house. That's how he's, doing some
able
of
to
the
afford it.
enhancements that, I said he could do, but he wants to do it. I'm not paying for some of them. I'm paying for four of them, because I have to. But there's a bunch of other stuff he's planning on doing that just asked permission for. And I said, yeah, you can put in a hot tub or put in a new vanity here. I don't have to do it, but you can do it if you want. So stuff like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, he's gonna do it on a rental, huh? But if he's got
He's in the
connections, then
construction business, so
yeah.
it turns out he's got this company that he works for that has just all the ripped out stuff. Like, you go to do a renovation job, you take out the refrigerator, take out the vanity, take out the mirrors, take out whatever, whatever. And some of it's really good stuff. It just doesn't match the decor of the family that wants the new thing. Okay. So he's
Yeah.
got access to a lot of that inventory, which is
Yeah.
what he's telling me he's going to bring in. So
Yeah.
I say, as long as it's not on my dime, and you let me approve it first, fine.
Yep. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah. Well, I hope it works out. I've seen some things that give me a little bit of concern, but I got to work through those things with him. But
Yeah.
hopefully it'll be good.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah. I'm gonna
Yeah. Let's talk later. I think I got
yeah,
to
for
go and meet
sure.
meet the possible renter and see if he's brought his trailer over yet.
You got it.
Okay.
I'm just gonna be home.
Okay.
All right, take care.
Later then, Kayla. Okay.
Okay.
Enjoy. Bye
Thanks.
bye.
Bye.